Jazz age living, old fashioned sipping, pizzazz ain't missing, got the fat cats kissing. Let's bring the old age back. Awake everyone from his nap, we bring in the old
Welcome to episode 41 of the Sunday Punch podcast. Thank you for joining us here. We're doing a Sunday night episode, and I just want to start this one off with a big congratulations to Gervonta Davis last night, a boxing wizard. I watched it late last night after a date at the Purple Pig, Sean.
Oh, yes. I've been hearing good things about the Purple Pig from you for, a day now.
Yeah, it was a good time. Met this girl at a bus stop.
I have only hints of this story, but what I know is really cool and spontaneous. And you know what I love about it is, you tell it, and then I'll tell you what I love about it.
I will tell it, and I like how we just transitioned so quickly from congratulating Gervonta Davis to it's all about me. So I went to the bus stop. I was going to meet you. I'm going to do a real quick version
synopsis.
I went to the bus stop. I was about to meet you, Dirty Mike, and his sister and all of her friends at Parlor Pizza. So I was going to take the bus. I get there. There's a nice young lady trying to figure out the bus situation. She looks to me. She's like, I have no idea how to get to UIC or somewhere else. She was trying to go somewhere in the burbs, and I was like, I don't really use the bus that often. I definitely don't go that way. So I don't know, but let's check out the app. And so we looked at the app. We figured it out together. We were a team.
You're activating damsel in distress protocol.
Right. We're like, she was like, maybe I should do this. I'm like, maybe you should do that. And then she was like, no, I think. I was like, well, I agree with you. And then bus doesn't show up.
When did you know it?
At our bus stop. It turns out it was on the
lower
level.
Did you know that was going to happen?
No. That would have been so suave of me. So then I was like, well, I got to meet you guys. So I was like, well, I'm going to take the train. It says I can take the Green Line. I'm pretty sure, just off a glance, you can take the Blue Line home. You want to walk with me to the train stop?
Yeah.
And she was like, sure. And so we're walking, we're talking. I'm asking her, well, what'd you do this weekend? Her friends came in from NYU.
This is flowing. It's flowing.
Yeah. Well, now you know she's younger, but anyways, because she has friends at NYU.
Could be grad students.
And, it wasn't. Anyway, so... But we're walking, we're talking, we're getting to know each other. Tell her what I did, she's studying, blah, blah, blah. And so we get to the crossroads, if you will.
You got her name at this point?
Yes.
Is it Normani?
No, it's Demi.
Oh.
Like Demi Moore.
Just what I'd tell someone if I was Normani.
She looks like Normani, to be honest. So... We're at the crossroads. Yeah, I have to go to the Green Line. She's going to the Blue Line. And so we kind of split up, and I'm like, fuck it, So I run back, which, if you've ever read The Game or The Mystery Method, you're never supposed to approach from the back. It spooks them. They're kind of like horses. But I said, hey, before I go, I feel like there's a movie moment. And I should ask for your number, and we should go out sometime. And she was like, that's amazing. I was just thinking the same thing. And she gave me her number. And so we went to the Purple Pig last night.
And that's where you watched Gervonta Davis.
No. Went to the Purple Pig, had a great time, blah, nice. Blah, blah. Gervonta Davis fight didn't come on till midnight. So Gervonta Davis is like a mini Mike Tyson. And I want to watch the next fight with you because it was like art to watch this guy fight. And I know I'm throwing you on a loop right now because I didn't prep you for this at all. So let me just kind of go on this. Gervonta Davis is a little guy, usually fights at 130 pounds.
5'5.5".
Yeah. From Baltimore, Maryland.
Hometown.
Family stomping grounds.
It's Adam hometown.
And tough guy. Seems very humble, too, which I like.
Gotta like that.
But he moved up 2 weight classes to go to 140. Just like his predecessor, one of his coaches is Floyd Mayweather. We all know Floyd did 140, 147, then 154. So he's already done 130, 135. Now this was 140. Only 3 people have ever done that. Floyd, Oscar De La Hoya, and now Gervonta Davis.
Really?
3 weight classes. Wow. So, but dude, his power for a small guy like that is outrageous.
Nicknames Tank and The One.
Yeah, he.
Wow.
So he. Let's just break it down a little bit. He used the first, I'd say, 6 rounds just to kind of feel him out and see, like, wait, this guy's distance is. I mean, he was I think 6 inches bigger than him. Yeah, he was fighting a giant.
How do these guys do that?
And so,
my God,
I think he was using those rounds to kind of feel him out, and then, dude, he knocked him down twice in one round. I think that was in the 7th. And I thought it was done. And then he kind of took a round off. And then he comes back. He hits him with the most brutal body shot. And the guy just goes down. Gets back up. You can tell he's not feeling it. And then Gervonta Davis just lands a vicious left hook. And the ref's like, no. So I was like, I was watching it. The undercard was one of the best fights. I was like, dude, maybe boxing's coming back. We got Wilder.
We've been
right
talking about
the
it,
corner.
right? We've been talking about it.
He's only 26.
I was looking at this while you were talking about him. Known for his vicious punching power, and this is kind of what you were alluding to earlier. Davis's knockout to win percentage stands at 96% total. In world title fights, 100%. He has 25 wins, 24 by KO.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Well, unless that, Wikipedia is probably already updated, but yeah, he's probably my favorite. He quickly became my favorite fighter to watch. I mean, he was so fast, and he's got the Mike Tyson knockout power, and it's just electric. I love it. I love every second of it.
26
and
years
old.
old.
I'll tell you one thing. After watching last night, Ryan Garcia?
Oh yeah,
the Instagram guy and fighter,
but mainly Instagram guy.
Yeah. He called out Tank in his last fight. He said, "Hey, I want to fight Tank." Ryan Garcia should stay very far away from Tank Davis. Very, very, very far away. Because he might die in the ring. He might get murdered in the ring.
What's always kind of funny to me is I don't know a lot of the, we got the Olympics coming up, which is probably one of my favorite things in the world to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I believe opening ceremonies are early, is it July?
July 23rd.
23rd, is that right?
And I only know that because there could be an epic scenario where Devin Booker is put into legendary status after Game 7 of the NBA Finals on July 22nd, gets on an airplane, goes back in time to Japan on July 23rd, because it's like a 24-hour flight.
This is amazing.
And then plays Game 1 in the Olympics.
That's amazing. Just sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber at like 50,000 feet.
So I hope that happens.
Why don't we see Tank on the U.S. Olympic boxing team?
I feel like
is it too frou-frou?
Well, no, I feel like he might have already done it
as
possible. A younger kid.
That's possible.
I feel like that's a younger kid's game. Like, he didn't see Tyson going in. Like, he saw him when he was like 18 doing it, but after a while, it's like, all right, I don't want to sustain more head punches than I absolutely have to.
That is absolutely necessary, exactly.
Yeah, especially in today's day and age. But back to my point. Ryan Garcia should not fight him for like 5-6 years. I mean, seriously.
Get trained up first.
Because Gervonta Davis is he's not of this world. It's almost like he's some sort of thing.
Thing, you might say.
Thing. On the background, we have a fantastic piece of artwork from the movie The Thing.
It's a really good caricature of everybody that's critical to the plot, with our anchorman, of course, in the center.
Kurt Russell,
who, by the way, we'll review The Thing at some point, maybe during this episode, but
we'll do it immediately.
Costume design for Kurt Russell in The Thing was absolutely some of the best I've seen. Not well received in the community, but his character was fantastic.
If I was going to be stranded on some sort of base, which I'm still not quite sure why they were on that base, but we'll get to that. If I was to be stranded on that base, I would definitely bring his wardrobe and the hat.
So
great hat.
John Carpenter's The Thing, starring Kurt Russell, and this gaggle of goons that we have here represented in caricature.
Yeah.
Released 1982. kind of a hidden gem. Adam pulled it up for me.
I'd never seen it.
And we went through. I'm not sure how you got exposed to it, but absolutely a hidden gem of a movie. I think the special effects, which actually got a lot of shade for the community at the time, were actually really, really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, I thought they were I thought they held up.
Really good. Really good. There were some complaints about character development, but when you're Kurt Russell rocking a
horror movie,
a 4-dented military hat in Antarctica, there is no character to develop. That's it.
No,
you've peaked at life.
Exactly. So let's break it down. Let's go into it. Okay. And by movie review, I want to actually like go through the entire movie by memory,
shot for shot remake,
and like. I have questions because I wrote down my notes.
Ping me.
Okay,
go ahead.
Yes, because you can just react to things. Okay. So great title. Let's just start off with the title. Great title. Because if something did invade, that's what I would be like.
We have a word for it.
You know Joe Biden. Joe Biden, if he was on that base, he would be like, it's the thing.
And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It was a thing that we didn't understand.
Didn't understand at all. Movie starts off, dog running. Remember that? Dog running through the tundra.
Beautiful husky.
Yeah.
Galloping through the tundra.
Yeah.
Looks peaceful enough.
Mm-hmm. But then you see, a guy shooting from a sniper rifle at the dog.
From a helicopter.
Yeah. By the way, one of the worst marksmen... One of the worst marksmen there ever was.
Well, it's one of those things where if you're gonna take a shot, and we've all shot our BB guns here and there, like the game plan should not be to do these like dive bombing maneuvers off of a helicopter. Park the helicopter. Now there's only one moving object, the dog. They were like dive bombing around it. Like whoever was piloting that thing was clearly in distress.
Okay.
Not thinking straight.
Okay. Still, I felt like there was some shots there where I was like, really? Like you're like 500 feet off. I thought you're like a sniper. Maybe he wasn't a sniper. Maybe they just had the gun. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Science nerds. So anyway, they finally land the chopper at Kurt Russell's base. And people come out. Oh, what the fuck's going on here? And of course, dipshit who couldn't hit a shot then gets out with a grenade and has like butterfingers and throws the grenade backwards, therefore destroying his own helicopter.
The dog at this point is running up to Kurt Russell and company. Right. Like, hey, I'm just a cute little husky.
Right. And the guys are still shooting at it, so those guys get killed. Now, movie basically starts. That was the intro, bro. Another comment I have is, well, there's this group of men chasing this dog, trying to shoot bullets and throw grenades at it. So let's keep the dog.
Don't ask any questions.
Keep the dog. We'll figure it out later.
Because I think the group that was flying the helicopter were some Scandinavian country who was coming across. So maybe they just thought, oh, they don't know what the hell they're getting. They were just all buzzed up on God knows what.
Right. I think that was the excuse given actually in the movie, I think.
But you would think you'd say, why shoot this furry animal? Instead it was like, come on in.
Yeah. No, I think their thing was like, I don't know. They must have had cabin fever. And so then they send Kurt Russell and... Was Kurt Russell the doctor? No, they send Kurt Russell, a pilot, and the doctor to check out what went wrong.
You don't believe he's a pilot?
Well, it's like, my main question is, why did you send like the three most important people to your base, to the other base to possibly get into some major trouble, which there was.
Let alone your pilot, who if you lose that guy, you're not getting help.
But they need the pilot to get there. I just wouldn't send the doctor.
Catch-22. Yeah,
I just wouldn't have sent the doctor. I would have sent Kurt Russell.
So Kurt. Who
might be the doctor, by the way. I don't know. I don't know any of their jobs. I don't know why they're at this base.
But they're really good at pinball.
Yeah. I mean, they never go into why they're at the base. But okay, whatever. Maybe they do. I was not paying attention. Anyways, they go to the other base, Sean. Yeah, we're doing this, so get used to it. Okay, we're going through the
2
entire
hours.
Movie.
Go.
They go to the other base, and that's when, they've basically blown up their base.
So
they've killed
they
themselves.
find what looks like a war zone combined with scientists who have committed a form of harikari.
Yes. And they find some sort of
sarcophagus.
Is that what that is?
Like a tomb, like a King Tutton.
Yeah, with like some sort of like half man, half alien
creature.
Yeah, creature in it.
Chimera.
To which they're like, well, let's bring this back to the base.
Right.
And they do. And so then they're checking it out. No masks on, by the way. This is before COVID. This is 1982, before COVID. So they're like, oh, giant like alien creature. Let's just smoking.
They're somewhere pre-AIDS, pre-COVID, and they figure, let's bring this bloody mess of organ and body back to our base because clearly nothing bad happened here.
Yes. And so they bring it back to the base, and so then this is the one guy, the new doctor. He starts studying it, right?
Over here.
That's the beginning of his insanity.
This guy right here.
Yeah. And so the dog then does something slightly annoying to the group, like bump someone's leg while they're playing like checkers.
Yeah,
and they're like, would you get that damn dog into the pen, the dog pen?
Yeah, they go from like shooting other humans to defend the dog to like it brushed my leg, throw it in the cage.
Yeah, so the dog goes in the cage. That's when all hell breaks loose, because that's when the alien reveals its, or the thing. We don't know if it's an alien at this point.
It ain't no dog.
Yeah, and like it starts getting like tentacles and everything. By the way, you said the graphics. I thought the graphics, especially in this scene, were so fantastic.
You know what was cool was the dogs knew before the humans. The other huskies that the Americans had at their base, they had this sense. They were like, this guy isn't one of us. They were hanging out, kind of growling at it. Remember that? Kind of like, this doesn't belong here. This isn't quite right. They knew before we did.
And that's the first time we realized that this life force can merge. Well, yeah, the scene is the thing reveals itself from the dog and starts basically having some sort of like dog orgy where it's pulling in all the other dogs.
Absorbing the dogs.
Yeah, it's merging, which is really what any good orgy is about. Merging. And so they obviously hear something. They go in there, lights off. They're like, and they open the door and they're like, what's going on?
Yeah, the first thing I think to do when I hear what sounds like a dog orgy / murder scene is, well, let's just let him out here with us.
Exactly. And so then you see it's like trying to merge and like sort. And so this is like the full graphics on display. And I wrote down, dude, for the graphics guy, whoever created the actual like blob, I mean, that guy was on like acid. I mean, it had tentacles, it had fangs, it had like 18 eyeballs, fur, a deer nose.
I was looking at this. So the guy who did this, it was really interesting. So he had worked with the director once before. He'd worked with John Carpenter once before, and he had done a movie with him called The Fog. Yeah. His name is Bottin, Bottin. He had done The Fog with him and said he really wanted to kind of up the ante on this one. So they gave him a bigger budget. And I mean, I think he knocked it out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
It was really good.
Also, one of my favorite lines happens at this time is when Child says, "Oh man, I can't believe any of this voodoo bullshit." To which I'm like, well, voodoo is a religion and this is an alien.
Clearly extraterrestrial. So close, Child.
So where am I at here?
Well, the cage is happening. We're starting to see this anamorph creature develop. And at this point,
the scientist then at this point, now the scientist really starts studying it, figures out that if there's a 75% one of them is infected, because he already knows at this point this thing can merge with people.
Based on having seen the chimera at the other plot and now what the dog hybrid thing was.
Right. So it's about at this point that the original dead carcass that they brought back comes back alive.
Starts reanimating.
You know how dead carcasses do. And they immediately burn that thing to death.
So,
which apparently is the only weakness of aliens is fire.
Yeah, fire. It's almost always fire, which is crazy.
The bullets don't work.
Not bullets. Like, I've seen tank shells go into these things, but if you don't get some pyrotechnics on it, fire's the move.
Right. So then that's when that guy goes insane, because the scientist goes and destroys the helicopter that they have so that they can't escape. It's also around this point that I think it infects someone else, because they find clawed up like long johns.
That's what it was. They found like shorts that had been torn up, some kind of like jean shorts or something.
Yes. So
no, it was underwear. It was underwear.
I think it was long johns.
Yeah.
And the name tag was ripped off.
Yeah.
So it was like something like destroyed, like went through them and then like threw them in the trash to get away with it.
God, that's weird.
You know the thing. So obviously, after the scientist fucks with their own equipment and is like, they try and they go at him and he's like firing a gun. He's like, I'll kill you all.
Yeah. He was like trying to take down the radio so they couldn't call for help.
Which was worse, the actual monster or the suspicion that happened soon after?
Well, I think this is the question John Carpenter's asking us.
Right.
Like, do we become a monster when we can't trust each other?
Right.
When we lose our sense of tribe and community, do we become a thing?
That's an interesting take. So anyway, they obviously lock that guy up.
So the guy who's most informed about the alien, they put in a cabin outside.
Him away. Yeah, he's obviously annoying.
They have flamethrowers, so they're basically got it figured out.
Yeah, so then all hell breaks loose. No one trusts each other, and then we have the best scene ever where the one guy who like has a heart attack because he wrestles with Kurt Russell. They're like trying to like revive him, and while he's going down, his stomach opens up and bites the dude's arms off. So he was a thing. And then they burn him, but his head rips off, and then starts turning into some sort of like spider and tries scurrying off.
I'd forgotten about
which
that
they
part.
almost like didn't see. It like took them like 10 minutes to like recognize, oh, there's a severed head that is a spider now.
Which is kind of like saying there's a spider the size of a bowling ball running around the base.
Right. So they burn that spider head too. A lot of burning going on. And then that's when
you're down to about 2/3 of the
right. That's when they do the blood test, which is a great scene.
This is cool. So they realize that this thing can't tolerate pain, which is an interesting callback to a lot of science fiction sort of threads about how humans are one of the few things that can tolerate pain for a greater good and will allow pain to happen for a greater good. I reference Dune and the Tezak Scissor Act.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later. Paul Atreides, it's a great scene.
That'll be on our next review.
We'll break it down.
The movie Dune.
Dune, which is being remade. So they pull blood samples from all the people who could be the changelings or the infected ones. So when they expose it to like electricity or some kind of like zapper.
They burned a coil and then they would put it into the blood sample.
So they're going one by one.
Yeah. And they tie everyone up next to each other, which was an interesting choice because
I like that part.
Wouldn't the thing immediately try and like destroy everyone next to him? So okay, let's tie everyone directly next to each other. And that's what happens. They do it. The one guy's like head explodes and tentacles come out, and the other guy's like, "Get me untied from him.
Get me away from this thing."
And so then the one guy gets up, this guy, and his head gets bitten off.
Oh, Big Bear, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be infected.
He was just laying there kind of like a bloody stump. Kurt Russell comes back in and makes sure to burn him too.
That's right.
It's around this point in time that I fell asleep. Yeah, I fell asleep. I had my hand up.
What?
So I need you to take us home on this. Dude, I'm 31 now. At 10:30, I'm out like
That's
a
fair.
light.
So
like a light.
So we've whittled down about half the characters, and we're starting to realize there's a very, very small number of people who are left. But at this point, they've been torching so much of the base that the base has lit on fire.
Yeah.
So they really don't have a good sense of like, how are we going to keep testing for these folks? So they go back out to the scientist who they put in the barn earlier to isolate him. And he's gone, I believe.
Okay.
So they realize he's gone. And they're not sure how he escaped. And they realize there was a trap door in the floor.
Okay.
So they look into this trap door and they realize that there's this whole tunnel system that he, the doctor, who claimed to not be infected,
right,
he had manifested the infection at this point. And so he's in all these underground tunnels building a ship from the residual helicopter parts, the one that Goofball threw the grenade at earlier.
Yeah.
And he's building out a spaceship of some kind or a vessel that can take him around because he realizes, hey, the comms equipment is all gone. I can't call for help. I gotta go.
But he destroyed the communication.
I think there was some infection that happened at some point here.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted to check on him or something, right?
Okay.
And at this point, we've lost Childs. Childs has gone in to find someone, and we've lost Childs, who's this guy right here.
Yeah. The guy from There's Something About Mary.
Boom.
Yeah.
So Kurt's down there, like with two of the other jabronis, trying to figure out where's the scientist and what is the ship they're building. Two jabronis go off into the darkness, not paying attention. They might as well be jabronis.
Wait, how many jabronis are there?
Two jabronis. They might as well be like the red shirt security guys from Star Trek, who they're just going to be toast. They go down to the planet to die so Kurt can save them, slash whatever.
Slash hook up with
aliens.
Chicks.
AKA whatever. And they get taken by the thing too. So now it's Kurt, a flamethrower, and some sticks of dynamite.
Yeah.
Childs is MIA. We're not sure.
Yeah.
And the thing at this point is huge. Mm-hmm. It has gotten to be somehow much larger than the cumulative organic matter that's here.
Yeah.
But Kurt's got dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
Starts lighting dynamite sticks and throwing them at the thing. I think at one point there's like a giant maw that opens in his face.
Oh, okay.
And he launches them in. Lights things on fire, and there's a giant explosion behind him. He gets blown across.
Okay.
Barely survives. Base is ruined. Helicopters are toast. Dogs are gone. And who do we see appear? Childs.
So
they kind of lay down next to each other. They're like...
And then it just turns into Brokeback Mountain.
And it just sort of ends.
Oh, it just sort of ends?
I think it just sort of ends.
Oh. Okay.
So
are we supposed to think, wait a second, is one of them the thing?
Well, they set it up for a sequel.
But was there a sequel?
We never got one. That's why there was talk about it maybe being remade. I think
it did get remade, didn't it?
Really?
I think in 2011. Yeah, here we go, 2011. Really? Really? Let's see what it got on Rotten Tomatoes.
We haven't seen that one.
If I haven't heard of it, it must suck. Oh, it only got a 34%. Where The Thing, the original, got like an 80. Yeah. That's a shame.
Who did it star? Who's in the new one?
That's a shame.
Well, we have homework.
We got some homework. I don't know.
We'll get back to you on part 2, but really good movie. Great date movie. If you're looking to...
I've seen some of these people.
Well, it's not a great date movie. But it's a good bro night movie.
Well, depending on the chick, dude. Joe used to love horror movies.
That's true.
That would have worked with her.
Some women are into things.
Some women, bro. I like a girl who's into a horror movie. I'd much rather her want to watch someone's head get ripped off than watch a romantic comedy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's more of a bond. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that could be more of a bonding experience because you come through something dangerous together. Versus, like, we kind of know how the rom-com's going to end.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought you were going opposite with it.
No,
I thought you were going to say, the romantic comedy, it makes you think about, like, our future and bullshit like
I think
that.
the rom-com is a cop-out. I think guys know they can throw in a rom-com. It checks a box. Mm-hmm. We get through the night. And then, we move on. The scary movie is like I'm going to roll the dice on this one. She might be into it. She might not. We're going to learn a little bit about each other's like fear threshold here. Sure. Maybe I scream first. Maybe she screams first.
We all scream for ice cream.
And there's ice cream in the middle. So I think there's more to be gained out of enjoying a scary movie with a woman.
Yeah.
Also, Hereditary is a great date movie.
Yeah, I went on a date to that. No, I wouldn't recommend.
Gentlemen, do not watch Hereditary.
It's sickening, and you will hate yourself, but it's an amazing movie. Speaking of sickening, let's talk about Ben Simmons.
I was gonna say that if that's not a segue, I don't know what is. So
the never ending. I can't stop talking about Ben Simmons.
Let's start with the one-liner. So 4 years in, drafted obviously very highly, right to Philadelphia.
Right.
Is he part of the process, or is that a Joel Embiid thing only?
He's part of the process. He takes the first year off because of an injury. So really, he's only had 3 years.
So he saved himself a couple miles on the engine.
Right. The problem is what everyone's been saying is, look, very athletic, hasn't improved in 4 years.
No growth.
No growth. There's been like rumor stories, doesn't work hard or something. He's out of Philly. He's done. Philly's done. So they got to figure out a way to salvage something for him. So we might as well break down some trades.
But Philly's not committed to this. So they say. Philly has not said.
Philly, okay, dude, come on. You're in business school. Come on. They put that out there.
I think it's
so that other teams will be like, oh, we got to offer him something. They believe they can still work it out.
If it's not for sale, it's suddenly more valuable.
Interior wise, they're probably like, we got to get rid of this guy.
We got to purge this.
Yeah.
And you got to think from a player's perspective too. I mean, even that moment where he had like not a wide open, but like a fairly uncontested dunk there, and was it game 6 or 7?
No, that was game 7. Yeah.
And he just like dished it off. You're like, dude, if you're looking for a moment to say like I belong here, right. So locker room on the books, managerially, he's toast.
He's got mental problems. Look, he's gone. So we might as well talk about a few places that he can go.
I'm down for that.
Okay. Number one for me, you just react. Number one for me is the Portland Trailblazers.
This is a trade?
Damian Lillard. Yeah. Damian Lillard for Ben Simmons. Maybe you throw in, if you're the Sixers, some sort of pick too. Look.
My reaction.
Well, let me give you another little bit of preface, because if you're Portland and Damian Lillard wants to go, then that's it. Once they want to go, it's done. So you might as well get something for him. Ben Simmons is still young. In your mind, if you're Portland, you're like, all right, we're rebuilding, but not too bad because we get a very quote-unquote valuable piece here in Ben Simmons. And it gives Ben Simmons the chance to completely own his own team, which he's never had in Philly.
Exactly. That'll be very good for me. I think what we'll learn a lot from that is who is Damian Lillard. I feel like if he's someone who has been like, I'm Portland all the way, like start career, die career, like that is so valuable to me. I mean, maybe he's not given a choice because he's traded and that's that, right? But I think that we learn a lot about Damian Lillard too, and going somewhere else where he can be the man. And I think in his eyes, I mean, he's got to look at that situation thinking, man, it'd be great to be with Joel Embiid. I mean, he's playing really well, really strong. I mean, he gets a huge piece with him. Mm-hmm. He can go there, do his thing, and not have to worry about A, rebuilding, as you said, and B, he doesn't worry about like carrying the full yoke of that team.
Plus, if you're the Portland Trailblazers, you kind of can save face, because you could go to Damian and be like, look, we know, we love you, we paid you, we want you here,
$30 million a year,
but we also we like you so much that we want to give you a chance to go and win.
It's not working out here.
Right.
Why would you want to stay here?
We get something, and we get to give you a chance for a championship.
That's their pitch. I agree. You made an interesting...
I mean, I feel like this should happen. I mean, well, I don't understand why this hasn't maybe it can't happen.
Well, he's not for sale.
Maybe it can't happen right now, but whenever it is available, that I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me.
You did make an interesting point there, which is he gets to have his own team.
Yeah.
Do you think he's a leader?
I think he needs to go through, even if they're going to suck, right? He needs to go have his own team so that he has to take the shots. And it's just like 2 practice years for him.
Kind of like exposure therapy. Like there's no one else.
Really cares because you're in Portland. Right. So you can like shoot without like feeling the pressure of everyone watching.
We just lost all Portland fans. No one cares because your city is not going to make an impact.
But, he gets to then be like, all right, I can work on my game here and not worry about all the repercussions of anything else.
For a guy who shrinks in the playoffs, I think that's actually a much better environment for him.
and then he can go somewhere else.
That's a much better environment for him.
Or he can stay there and they can work around him. He's still young enough.
What do you think he needs? Well, let's throw a few more teams out there, and then I'm going to ask you, what do you think he needs psychologically?
Okay. All right. Next team I got is the San Antonio Spurs.
This one I like for a lot of reasons. I think that coaching and culture here is so strong that I think he just has tremendous opportunity to develop psychologically, and within a system where team and team ball is just so heavily prioritized over the 1 or 2 stars.
And you'd get rid of DeMar DeRozan in that one. He's 31, still has a lot left in the tank. I mean, he's the same age as Damian Lillard, so there you go. And it gives him someone that can shoot to pair with Joel Embiid.
The argument that San Antonio will have to make in that one is, I think DeMar's plus minus like tends to shrink in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's not a big playoff guy, but like if you're Philly and you can't get Lillard, it's like I feel like Ben Simmons' stock has dropped so low that it's like you got to accept like lower guys, DeMar DeRozan style guys.
You'll at least get free throws out of DeRozan.
Exactly. And he can play in the fourth quarter. Moving on. Wizards, dude. Wizards.
I don't like this because I really want to see Bradley Beal come to Chicago, and
that could still happen.
I worry that he would be on the trading block, and I don't know that Russell Wilson,
Westbrook.
I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you. I do it all the time.
Russell Westbrook is ready to move just yet. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, for Westbrook, the Sixers need to throw in like Seth Curry.
There has to be an extra piece for him.
Yeah, or a handful of bench guys to get the money to work. Right. Bradley Beal would be straight up, but like they're not going to do that.
Is Bradley 32?
No, Bradley I think is.
I'll grab this for you.
I think he's 31 too.
Is he really?
Yeah, because we're kind of like around the same age. He might be a year younger.
He's 28.
Really? Jesus Christ. Never mind.
We're so old.
But you could do a straight up Bradley Beal, Ben Simmons. Bradley wants to leave, right? You could get Ben Simmons. It's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
Thought. And you could still then get rid of Russell Westbrook somehow.
I think that that's a 2-piece move, to your point.
Then you could trade Russell Westbrook probably to the Bulls or something.
I think it depends if the Wizards feel like they are going to. It depends how far back the Wizards want to run their clock. If they want to say, look, we really got to kind of clean some stuff up here, and we need to like get rid of 2, and we'll take on Ben Simmons, but he's going to be kind of a role player for a little bit. Or he could run the show if he's going to be with. You got to think at that point they would try and get rid of Russell Westbrook's contract. Exactly.
So then it would be the same scenario where it's Ben Simmons' team and he's on the Wizards,
which might work well for him.
Yeah.
Which might work well for him. I agree with that. And I think that the Wizards could benefit from a little more defense, which I do think that Ben Simmons has done pretty well. Yeah,
he's a great defensive player. Next one, Thunder. Thunder just traded for Kemba Walker. Salary pretty close to Simmons. So the old send Walker to different places because that guy doesn't have a life. Just keep moving him through cities. But that could work straight up, those contracts. So, if they think Walker's scoring could put him in, over the top and help solidify this position. I think that Philly is going to have to make a decision about if they are going to push hard in the next 1 to 2 years for something, or if they're going to think about like a 5 or 6 year play, because that starts bringing into the conversation draft picks and other options. Yeah, and I think that for the Thunder, who are addicted to draft picks and probably looking at like, how do we just kind of get some very early on players and develop a team? I think they want to get back to like developing people within for a long time. Yeah. So I think they're going to want draft picks. And and they love draft picks. Right. They love draft picks. And so I think if Philly's willing to give some of those away, and which is based on their timetable, then I think the Thunder actually make a lot of sense. But I don't know the calculus from Philly on that angle. So my reaction there is I actually kind of like it for Kemba. Yeah. Because it gives him a chance to get over with Embiid, and I kind of like that pairing. Right. But I think it's going to depend on what Philly's willing to give from a draft picks angle, because I think that's what OKC is going to look for. Sure. Well, I think all of those are good options. I think Ben Simmons, get over it. He's gone. Okay, he's not going to be in Philly. So no, he's got to leave. I'd love to see the Portland thing. I'd love to see Damian go to Philly. I think they immediately become co-favorites with the Nets to win next year.
That'd be really fun to watch.
That'd be a great series to watch.
I would love that.
Joel versus the Nets, dude.
I would love that.
Anyway, speaking of the Eastern Conference,
get the poison out.
Let's do some initial reactions here, just for the series' sake. Bucks versus Hawks. Have you watched any of the game? You watched the first game.
Watched the first two. So I didn't see was it the game?
No, the game's today. The game's like starting in 5 minutes.
The game's starting soon. So let's see. Are we back in Atlanta?
Yeah,
we're back in Atlanta. So I really liked what you asked me the other week. Trae Young, Embiid, or who was the third to build a team around?
I was saying, like, I was combining the two. I was like Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell type.
That's right, that type. And this by in no means is vindication for my decision, but I just like what Trae Young does. He just isn't doing it inconsistently enough. I feel like Trae Young went out there, dropped points kind of when he had to at the end, but his consistency is concerning me right now. I'm worried that he's not consistent enough. And I don't know where that's coming from, because there have been moments where the Bucks have shut him down, definitively shut him down.
Well, game 2, it was Clank City. I mean, yeah. But, okay, Trae Young is crazy, outrageously improved as a player.
Yes.
Game 1 was wild. And so, Chris texted us the other night, so let's break this down here. Was Trae Young's game 1 versus the Bucks 48? I forget. Fuck. I don't know what the line is. I only care about points. 48 points versus KD's game 5.
Right.
Which was more impressive to you? I said KD at first, but then now I'm thinking about it. I mean, he is only like 6 feet tall. It is kind of impressive that he dropped that much on the Bucks, who are a very good defensive team. I mean, but KD did the same thing, but he's like 7 feet tall. So.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me to splice out. KD at that point was kind of like the only guy, not the only guy left, but kind of the only guy left for Brooklyn. I mean, the whole game plan had been altered at that point for them. James Harden, I think that was the game where he was injured and out.
No, he was in. He was It was Jumbo James Harden out there, dude.
Right.
I don't know. That guy can gain 14 pounds
Couple
in
too
2
many
days.
pierogies before he got out of the
He's not
court.
running around.
You're right. That's a good point.
Talk about the next Charles Barkley on
He really
TNT.
does. He really gets out of shape incredibly fast. Yeah. That's true.
But he wasn't doing anything.
He wasn't doing much. Yeah. So I believe Durant was kind of like the guy, which actually I think elevates his performance, because I think he was the one to guard by that team. I feel like Trae put up great numbers, but Trae didn't really have a lot of injuries on the team that they were having to kind of overcome for. And I don't know that he was, doubled in the same ways or defended in the same ways that KD was.
Right. They were doing this thing where they were pretty much allowing the floater every single time.
Right.
Which is okay, and Trae doesn't have a conscience. He won't be I feel like other point guards would be okay, let me do something different now.
No.
Trae's oh, you're not stopping this? I'm going to do this 100%.
Let me show you how big of a mistake that is.
KD was making tougher shots.
Yeah, tougher shots to make.
You want to say a floater is tough? Yes, obviously. But it is only 5 feet away from the basket. So I still like KD's game 5 better.
I do too. And when they eventually, I think what they were doing with Trae is they were really letting whoever he would beat or get past on the pick and roll try to get up behind him and then use wingspan to swat him down from behind. And they get him a couple times doing that, and that's fine. But if he's going to take that shot 12 times a game, he'll get the ball off clean 7 or 8.
Right.
And they'll make most of those.
Yeah. And then they come back and they get, smacked, which I kind of expected, because Milwaukee's a great team. I think they're a much better team than the Hawks. So I think Milwaukee's going to win the series, but I think it'll go 6. I think the Hawks will win one more.
Yeah, I think the Hawks will have one more in them, but Milwaukee, I have to believe, perseveres here. I really do, for size, for strength, for just kind of team dynamics and the ways they can score. I think the Hawks will very easily get into a perimeter shooting game, and then if a couple people get cold, it's I don't know that you can penetrate really meaningfully on the Bucks.
Yeah.
And the Bucks can just score on you too many ways.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Western. Suns versus Clips. It's 3-1. Suns are going to win.
I got to be honest. I'm just loving what the Phoenix Suns are doing right now.
They're really,
that was an early call by you, and I just love what they're putting together.
It was one of my 1,000 amazing early calls where I call everything, and one's bound to be correct. But talk about another guy without a conscience. I mean, Devin Booker is, he had a bad game in this too. But then he comes back, he has a great game. They're up 3-1. Look, last night, and I don't want to date anything, but let's talk in generalities. And this has been a problem for Paul George, who last night was trending on Twitter as George Paul or Polyester P. And he can't.
I love Polyester P.
He can't do it. I don't know, man. Like, I want to like Paul George. Like, I like his smooth flow. Sometimes you see it like a glimmer and you're like, he is really good. And he is. But there's a difference between, man, really, really good and great. And last night I was watching, it was up on TV. I was like, he goes through these stretches where he can't hit a shot.
Right.
And he takes bad shots, and it's like, all right, well, I guess we're doing this game again. And in all fairness, he didn't have Kawhi Leonard, and he's kind of doing it by himself. But I felt like the game was there. Phoenix was on a dry spell, and you couldn't do it. And then you miss another big free throw. It's like, at a certain point, we just got to accept the fact that Paul George is a really good player that you probably don't want the ball in his hands at the end of a game.
I don't think you do either. And that it hurts me to say that about him because, to your point, I like his poise and I really enjoy who he is and how he plays for the most part. I feel like Paul George is somebody who is a very good basketball player all around, knows it, we know it. But I don't feel like he understands where he can be a little risky or take a off-balance shot and where he has to be balanced and dialed in and have his feet under him. He's not one of these guys, I think, who can consistently be kind of reinventing his shot or applying the same shot position or maneuvering in different areas of the court. He's got his spots where he is, I was looking at this, he's got his spots where he is just unreal efficient. But he's got other spots where he isn't. And it's almost like he doesn't know that. Mm-hmm. And so he'll try to do the same thing in the wrong places.
Right.
And then he'll look very bad for a while.
Yeah.
And so anybody defending him, if they just get him in those positions, they can really really affect him.
Right.
And if he's your only guy in the court, there's a lot about just kind of tone that's like, oh man, Paul's Polyester P's not hitting.
Yeah.
And Kawhi's up there eating, junior mints with his grandma. I don't know what he's doing. The club.
It's a junior mint, Jerry.
I don't know what's going on up there with Kawhi.
Kawhi, I don't know, man. I guess this is what I've heard is that some players worry about being on the sideline with their teammates when they're injured because they're worried about someone coming crashing into the bench.
What?
I don't know if that's like the PR team. That sounds like LeBron's PR team is like on overtime now that LeBron's out.
How many times have you heard of like the sixth man of the year getting ACLs blown out because somebody flies into them? It's not a thing.
I agree. It was a little weak of an explanation.
And when people are, when these players are moving.
And what is the update on him?
Yeah.
Can anyone give me an update?
Yeah. Injured NOS.
It's like, he's injured. Well, when is he going to be back?
I'm worried this is becoming a personality trait for him, and that when he has tweaks and twinges and stuff's on the line, he will withdraw, and then it's like he doesn't have to. I will never forget what he did in Toronto, though.
Yeah.
So it's like
right.
It's so hard to say he's not a baller and he doesn't want to fight for those victories. But I just
when he doesn't give you anything,
it's hard.
What's going on in that noggin there, dude?
Yeah, people are not flying out of bounds to injure people on the bench from the side of the court. They do that going to the hoop, to the glass.
Yeah.
He's not in danger there. He should be sitting with his teammates. And I don't understand what message he's communicating to the media. Don't go down 3-1 to send like, I'm going to be cool and come back and win 4-3 message. Like, that's not the way you do it.
I don't think he's coming back. I don't think he's coming back at all. I think he's done.
Does he stay at the Clippers?
Who knows? Who knows?
You can't read that guy.
You can't read him.
You can't read that guy. He's such a goofball.
Well, speaking of Kawhi and Paul George not doing shit, and now that, we saw Trey do his thing, we've seen Devin Booker do his thing. Is it time to hand it over to the young stars now?
Oh,
I mean, come on. Like, Trae Young, Luka, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, like LeBron, Paul George, Kawhi. CP is still like leading the way over there, but he's not a star. Let's be honest. CP3 is a great player who's a leader, but he's not a star not anymore.
Not in the way we think of those other names.
Right. So it's like, can we hand it off? LeBron.
I would love that. I think that there's definitely a natural selection that should be occurring here. And I think that, call it load management, call it how well these guys are trained and recuperated now, what they do in the off season. I mean, they're kept in much better shape for much longer, and they're taught to do things like shoot, not pound the paint, like in LeBron's case. I mean, LeBron can pound the paint, but he's developed other aspects of his game that allow him to participate in scoring for much longer in their career. So I agree with you, which is like, I mean, the lifespan on these guys for me has kind of started to wear thin. I want to see them hand it off. And it's nice to have generationally 4, 5, 6 guys where you can do that to, versus like one guy kind of a couple years behind you. And they have that opportunity now. And I won't even call it an opportunity. That's the wrong word for it. But I think to your point, where we should be giving them the chance to really shine, be in the spotlight, own it, crush it. But these guys are just, I think they're going to have too big of egos, and you're going to see them want to linger and linger and linger, and they won't give it up softly. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do it. Trae Young, Luka, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell.
Take it.
It's over. Yeah, they're way better than LeBron is done. Why am I the only one to recognize this? LeBron James is finished. It's over. Okay.
Is LeBron somebody who fades over the next few years, or just 1 year is terrible?
Well, look at Kobe, dude. I mean, we were saying the same shit about Kobe in like the 16th, 17th year, and then out of nowhere, blew his Achilles.
Yeah.
You know, Father Time's undefeated, brother.
I think it will be an injury. You're right. I think it will be an injury, and I think it will sideline him, and I think he really will not come back the same at that point. And then it's going to be, I think in a way it won't be as hard for LeBron because of all the other ventures he's kind of built out for himself.
It will.
But in a way,
he can't stand not being in the spotlight.
I think it will be. And what I'm going to wonder about is, will he become, I think he'll be owner. I don't see him as coach. I don't think he'll coach.
I think he could be a good GM.
Agreed. Like management. But
yeah.
I don't see him wanting to risk any legacy by being a terrible coach.
Right. I don't know. He's always really good at those all-star selections.
Yeah, right.
And he's good at manipulating free agents into thinking that, they want to come to wherever I think he'd be a great GM. Anyway, moving on. One last point before we get to DaBaby. I'm choosing to skip because we're hitting the hour mark here.
Yeah, fair.
On our next episode, we'll talk about Jason Kidd pairing up with Luka.
I want to break that down.
We'll talk about Nico, what's his name? Nico Harris? Who's the GM?
It's not Nico Harris? The GM of...
The new GM of the Dallas Mavericks. He was the exec at Nike.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's Donnie Nelson.
No, wrong. It's definitely Nico...
No, it's Nico Harrison.
Dallas.
Nico Harrison.
Is it?
Yeah.
You just looked it up?
Yeah, Nico Harrison.
Okay.
He's replacing Donnie Nelson.
Yeah. Which I thought, anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it on the next episode. We got plenty of time to talk about that because that's in the off season. It's existing, whatever.
It will exist.
We're hitting the hour mark, so I want to kind of close it out here. But I do want to bring up one interesting point. and then we'll react to DaBaby.
Got it. I'll pull it up.
I want to react to, because I've been thinking deeply about Luka, Trae Young, like having 48, Devin Booker doing his thing. And they're also young. We're gonna react to Ball If I Want To.
Oh, we're going out to red light, green light.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're also young. Has technology made these players exponentially better at a quicker rate than they used to in the past? Because, I mean, you look at Luka at 22. He's already doing shit that, like, Jordan was doing 8 years into the league.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because he's got access to coaching on his iPad, watching film, doing everything else at, like, a moment's notice? And I was like, because we've never seen it before. We've never seen like Trae Young, Luka, Devin Booker. Just like Devin Booker was dropping 70 3 years ago.
That's a great question.
So it's like, have these players evolved to such a point? Not physically, that's what people would say. Oh, they've gotten so bigger, so much stronger. I think it's more mental and technology of they have access now to study whenever they want, to watch the game, to get coached whenever they want, to have the best health and nutritionists. It's like you got access to the best of the best, and now we're seeing 22-year-olds go off.
And to do, like, to be able to accomplish those things in a much more time compressed manner than you used to before. So you're adding call it the IQ, call it the scouting of your opponent, call it the self-awareness of how you position yourself, your shot, what moves work on who and when. And you're adding that to youth, which normally took, to your point, years to develop, maybe a decade in the league to develop. Like if you can have that at year 3,
right,
then you're this is kind of what they call it in the military, a force multiplier, right? It's a force multiplier for your success, so much more so than I just have to, I know if Kevin Garnett is guarding me, like I can do X, Y, or Z and get here or there, but I can't do this on him. But then when you're shown film and said, look at these 10 times where someone did this, boom, you're done, and you're giving stats to it, I think that's so reinforcing.
Yeah.
So I think there is something to that. I think that you're right. It is the strength conditioning. It is the nutrition. There's all those little things, but 100% believe that there's an augmentation going on here. What I really want to see happen is if we can get, to take it one step further, if we can get really good at VR and we can start to script movements of your opponents and then let teams almost practice in VR against the person they're going to be guarded by, that will be totally different.
Yeah.
That would be very cool. And then you'll have to say, okay, well, they're going to have similar scouting report on you, Adam. Right. So how are you going to change your defensive posture to kind of outsmart this? Then we'll see really cool things start to happen.
Yeah. I think I'm very excited because I think the NBA is going good places with the young stars.
I think it's going good place with the young stars. I want to see the NBA PA and the refs not get in the way.
Agreed. Or stupid rules and stupid, like the end of these games is getting a little ridiculous with the constant reviewing of everything. The one time I agree with Jeff Van Gundy. Okay. Great cast, under an hour. Now let's before we do that, next cast we're going to be talking about
preview.
Jason Kidd pairing up with Luka, the new GM in Dallas. Dallas drama. What's going on?
What's going on, Dallas?
Switch to a little bit of football. Let's do a little Justin Fields preview on the next one and talk Gator football.
Can we touch Gators? Yes.
Jazz age living, old fashioned sipping, pizzazz ain't missing, got the fat cats kissing. Let's bring the old age back. Awake up from his nap, we